It's the final game in the Clash of Generations 3 between Yagiz Kaan Erdogmus and Veselin Topalov. The man that you see on the screen is Evren Uchok. He is the sponsor of this event and also the man backing Yagiz Kaan Erdogmus in his chess career. The match is currently at 4-1. This is the final game of the match. The sixth one. Veselin Topalov would be looking to actually get one win under his belt. He plays the French defense e4, e6. It's always been a joy to watch Yagiz Kaan play chess d4. He's already 2700. His first game as a 2700 player, one could say. French defense on the board. And Yagiz Kaan plays his knight to d2. It's going to be interesting to see how Topalov deals with this game because he hasn't scored a win, 2 draws and 3 losses. It's already quite a lot to take. He plays a6. Slightly offbeat, knight to f3, but in the present day, moves like a6 and h6 have become part of the normal thing. c5, pawn push forward, and pawn takes c5, taken. Bishop takes on c5. And white brings bishop to d3. Just finishing the development, knight comes out to f6, putting pressure on the pawn in the center. You can push the pawn forward, but castling makes so much more sense. Just keeping the tension. Veselin takes. Ooh, is he going into an endgame? That would be so interesting. Pawn takes pawn. Knight takes e4. Knight takes, bishop takes. The queens will be traded along the d file. He takes on e4. Bishop takes e4. And now the queens are traded. Queen takes queen. Rook takes. And you can see Yaz's expression there. He seems to be happy with his position. It's quite interesting that Topalov has chosen this approach. Because maybe one way to think is Yaz is really good with tactics and sharp play. So let's take him into an endgame. Let's see how the youngster fares here. Pawn to f5, hitting the bishop. The bishop is on an excellent diagonal. I also loved this last move, knight d2. With the knight can go to c4, looking at the d6 and b6 square. The knight can also jump to b3. Knight jumps to e5, now attacking the bishop. Yaz gives a check. I like this move. You're provoking him to go g6 and then come back, which kind of weakens the dark squares a bit. It's these little moves that actually come into consideration and help you later. Okay, now just come back, bishop e2. You don't want to part away with your bishop. So comes back bishop to e2. Topalov brings his knight to f7. Slightly curious move. Maybe he's just controlling the d6 and e5 squares. White plays knight to b3, attacking the bishop on c5. And bishop goes back to b6. The plan is to play a4, e5, clamp down the queen side. Oh, bishop d2. Oh, wow, what an idea. He wants to go to b4. Wow, or to c3 even, to put pressure. Castles by Veselin. I think he just felt that the king was a little bit misplaced on e8, gets the rook into the center. The bishop comes on this diagonal. And now rook to e8, with the idea of maybe pushing the e pawn down the board. a4 played. A lovely move, trying to gain space on the queen side. Topalov goes e5. And now if Veselin, what he's trying is bishop e6 and just trying to develop his pieces, finish developing. a5, just go back, bishop a7. And now just bishop c4 played. The threat could be potentially down this diagonal. Also, the e5 pawn becomes a bit soft. Rook b8 played. Okay, an interesting move. I was wondering if bishop e6 directly would be better, but okay, rook b8, king f1. Nothing much changes because of these two moves. And now I believe Topalov will play bishop e6. So one of the issues with the move bishop e6 is that after the trade of the bishops, the d7 square becomes open and white rook immediately enters it, attacking f7 knight and the b7 pawn. King comes to f8. The king would like to go to e8. Bishop comes to b4 with a check. King comes to e8. And now the rook is on c7. So the king can't go to d8 because f7 hangs. The knight cannot move because h7 hangs. Too many issues actually. The rook can't move, b7 hangs. Somehow you need to trade these two rooks. I don't know how to do it though. h5. At least getting rid of this pawn from here so that the knight can start moving. And Yaz brings his second rook into the game. Maybe even stronger was knight c5 because after takes, maybe there's these bishop a7 ideas. But anyway, rook d1 makes a lot of sense. Rook d8 attacking here. He takes. I believe you must take with the knight to defend the b7 pawn. Takes it. And now Yaz goes to g7 with his rook. He's always behind on the clock. You can see he has 11 minutes. Topalov has 33 minutes. Knight comes to c6, attacking the b4 bishop and the a5 pawn. And now zoom. Chops the b7 pawn. I mean, Topalov was not able to move actually, which is the reason why he decided to give up a pawn and trade these minor pieces. Takes. And now, at the cost of one pawn, he's gotten some activity rolling. But is that going to be enough? Because rook c6 is just simply going to be met with move like c3. And you can see Yaz is so excited. He's just enjoying himself. Rook b7. And you can't take here. The bishop is hanging. So bishop comes to c5. I mean, you can even go into this rook endgame, right? After b4, rook c2, and b5, because takes a6 is already winning. So that's maybe a calculation you have to do here. But I think Yaz understands that he doesn't have to rush into it. He just plays his pawn to c3. And now bishop goes back to d6. Topalov saves the bishop. It's time for the king to come in. King e2 played. Bishop goes back to c7, eyeing the a5 pawn. And now rook a7, attacking the a6 pawn here. King comes up to d7. And boom, takes another pawn. The tactic there. Knight c5 check is coming in. Takes. Knight c5 check. King c6. And knight takes a6, attacking the bishop. Bishop takes the a5 pawn. And you simply go pawn to b4. And the idea now is to play c4, b5. Bishop goes back. Yaz has 1 minute 18 seconds. Two more moves to reach move 40. He plays pawn to c4, a good move. And Topalov goes e4. His position is already in dire straits. b5 check makes a lot of sense. King comes to d6. f3, take on f3, and king f3. It's just the king is coming in. If you play g5, I have the move h4. Very nice move, breaking up the structure. And Topalov resigns with a smile on his face. 5-1 loss to the youngster there. And Yagiz Kaan Erdogmus performs brilliantly here to beat Topalov in this match. One could say that, okay, this was a clash between someone who is past his prime and Yagiz Kaan who is entering into his prime. But I would say that to dominate like this against Topalov is never easy. That just shows how good Yaz is. In the background, you can see Salim there, who is the manager of Yagiz Kaan Erdogmus. And it's been a great win for the youngster. He's crossed 2700, 5-1 win. I mean, the youngest ever in the history to cross 2700, and now he's being given a trophy. And it all comes at a time when he's going to face Magnus Carlsen. 1 week or so left for him to do that. So, this is absolutely brilliant play. And here's the closing ceremony, given a small memento here. I have a couple of thoughts about Yagiz Kaan Erdogmus as a player. You know, I've commentated on many of his games, and now these 4 games. I feel like he's a phenomenon, one of its kind, the present era. But more than that, you know, the way he plays under time pressure, the way he lets the clock run right down to his last few seconds, yet is able to find moves. This is really, really very rare. What will, lie in future for him? A lot depends on many of the aspects, but he has so many things figured out. By the way, that's the trophy that he's given. And he's so many things that are figured out for him is basically Mamedyarov, who's training him, world class player. And I think that's really a big thing for him. He has a very solid sponsor who believes in his ability, Evren Uchok. He has a manager who is very, very dedicated to him. So I think, and also his parents, they are totally into it. You could see his mother traveling to events, father traveling to events. So clearly, the boy has many of the aspects in place as of now, and it'll be interesting to see his rise to the top. And I hope that you enjoyed this coverage of this event on our channel, and we hope to bring you more of this action. For now, this is Sagar Shah signing off. Bye bye.